Right, so hello and welcome back to Books and Things, and today I thought I would talk about non-fiction November. So before I begin, two apologies. Firstly, I'm aware that this is quite a way into November now, so this is going to be more of a kind of currently reading than necessarily a TBR, and where it is a TBR, it will more be like an MBR of might be read, and we will see. Secondly, it is like 9 o'clock at night, so I'm sorry if the lighting is terrible, but I thought as this would just be a quick one that I would film it now, and I've had a fairly busy few weeks. So, if you don't know, Non-Fiction November is run by Olive from A Book Olive and Gemma from Non-Fic Books, and I will link their channels down below, and the idea is to encourage more people to read non-fiction during the month of November. There are 4 like themes slash words that you can take to mean what you like in order to inspire the books that you read. The words are love, home, substance and scholarship. I'm not going to be reading just non-fiction in the month of November because I did a themed month last month and I feel like I want a bit more variety this month after Victober, and I will not be completing all of the challenges, but I do have a few books that do fit into some of those words. I'm not sure that I'm going to be finishing or getting through all the books I'm going to mention today, but there are some books that I want to either start or finish or get a little bit more of the way through during the month of November, so we will see how that goes. So to begin with the 3 books that I'm currently reading, 2 of these are Victorian non-fiction books that I started during the month of October and just haven't managed to get any way further through. The first is The Life of Charlotte Bronte by Elizabeth Gaskell, a biography of one of my favourite authors written by another of my favourite authors. I am enjoying it very, very much so far. I'm about a quarter of the way through. I was, however, really enjoying finding out a lot more about Charlotte Bronte's life and about the life of her siblings, so I'm looking forward to getting through some more of that and hopefully finishing that during the month of November. The other Victorian non-fiction book I started for Victober was The Uncommercial Traveller by Charles Dickens. Again, I'm about a quarter of the way through that. This is a collection of kind of essays and journalism and travel writing written by Dickens. I'm really enjoying it again so far, like Gaskell's biography of Bronte, but just other things got in the way in Victober, and so I haven't got any further of the way through it. And then I've also started listening to How Not to Be a Boy by Robert Webb on audiobook, which I'm really enjoying so far. Robert Webb is a British comedian who I quite like. Him and David Mitchell are one of my favourite sort of modern comedy duos, and also once Robert Webb did star in a short series called The Bleak Old Shop of Stuff, which was a Dickens parody that I adored very, very much, so I will always like him very much for that. This is a memoir, but it is kind of focused on gender and Robert Webb's experience of gender and gender identity growing up. I'm really enjoying that so far and looking forward to getting on with the rest of that. So those 3 are the ones that I'm definitely hoping to finish this month, and then the rest I have to talk about. I'm either going to start this month or maybe dip in and out of this month and just see how I go. One that I definitely want to start this month but I'm absolutely not intending to finish is The English and Their History by Robert Tomes. This is a history book covering a very, very long period of English history, and I think should be very interesting because I love history. Half of my degree was history, but I don't actually read very many history books, and also my historical knowledge is kind of limited to Western Europe, more specifically just Britain 1789 to 1945 and like nothing before or after. So to have a very long expansive history of England that covers a much wider and broader and longer historical period I think will be really useful for me. And my boyfriend Nick listened to this earlier this month and really enjoyed it and recommended it to me, as in fact did he the Robert Webb audiobook too. The one thing Nick did point out is that this is a 45-hour long audiobook and that towards the end he got a little bit tired of it, so I think what I'm gonna do is split it into chunks and listen to like maybe 8 hours of it, one part of the book, and then listen to a fiction audiobook and then return to The English and Their History. So I'm not intending on finishing this until like early next year, but I think it will be a good one to have on the go, and I'm really looking forward to learning a bit more about the place I'm from, which I suppose means that it kind of fits into the category of home. A bit more actually fitting into the category of home is this book, which is The Victorian House by Judith Flanders. This has been on my shelf for a while. I think it belongs to my mum and I borrowed it off her at some point, I don't entirely know when. This is a book about the Victorian home, about the Victorian house, and because I love the Victorians and I like houses, I think I will enjoy this. I'm looking forward to getting a lot of historical detail from this and finding out about a few of the things that aren't really spoken about in novels. I've heard really good things about this and it comes very strongly recommended from my mum, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. Another book I'm looking forward to dipping in and out of this month, which I think will provide me with some interesting insights into 19th century life, is this book, which is What Jane Austen Knew and Charles Dickens Ate? No, that's the wrong way round. What Jane Austen Ate and Charles Dickens Knew. And I believe this is just a series of interesting facts about life in the 19th century. I think this will be really interesting, both just from a historical perspective and also from, in terms of writing historical fiction perspective, to get those other little details that aren't aren't always in novels. It looks like a really fun and interesting read, and also it has the names of two of my favourite authors in the title, so I am bound to like this, and I'm looking forward to dipping in and out of it a bit. So a few books on home, no books on substance, but I do have a few books for scholarship, and for that I thought I would pick up some literary criticism, because I enjoy literary criticism, but I haven't read very much of it since university. One I am hoping to start and hopefully finish also this month is this, which is Jane Austen, The Secret Radical by Helena Kelly. This was very kindly sent to me for review by Icon Books, and I'm both really looking forward to it and slightly apprehensive, because I have a feeling that I'm going to disagree with a lot of what Helena Kelly says in this book, but also love it at the same time, if you see what I mean. Because I kind of don't think that Jane Austen was that radical. I made a video about this a while ago called How Modern is Jane Austen, which I will link down below. Which makes me think that I might disagree with some things in here, but also I do enjoy a bit of Jane Austen literary criticism, and I'm very excited and curious to read this, especially because I feel like I've already read it. But Marissa from Blatantly Bookish read this a few months ago, and we had a lot of conversations in this. I'm already aware of a lot of the arguments that are in this book. Marissa made a really good video review of this, which I will link down below in the description, and we talked about it so much that I feel like I've kind of vicariously read this book. So I'm interested to see if I have the same thoughts like actually reading it myself, and hopefully I will enjoy this one. And finally, another scholarship literary criticism book. This is Queer Dickens by Holly Furneaux. I have read this before. I read this cover to cover at university and found it really, really fascinating and really useful for my dissertation. It is Dickens with queer theory. It's absolutely brilliant and really, really fascinating. I've mentioned this already in Victober in my LGBTQ+ themes in Victorian literature video that I did a few weeks ago. Doing that video reminded me how much I want this book in my life and how much I want to reread it and rediscover it. I'm not intending on reading it cover to cover, but I think I might dip in and out or maybe read a few of the chapters that I remember as being the most interesting ones. I think this one can count both for the theme of scholarship and also for the theme of love, and I'm really looking forward to rediscovering Holly Furneaux's arguments. So those are some of the books that I may or may not get to in non-fiction November. We will see how I go. There are also a lot of novels that I want to read, and after Victober my instinct is to like pick up lots of really, really short contemporary fiction, so I'm not sure whether I will actually get through many of these thick non-fiction books, but I would like to read more non-fiction than I do, because I do always enjoy it when I read it and just don't pick up it enough. So maybe non-fiction November will give me a push to do so, and I will let you know at the end of the month how I get on. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back very soon with another bookish video.